So in the last session, we discussed all these points. I think we completed primary ledger creation. I will complete remaining setups which are related to our primary ledger, and then we'll proceed with the relevant topics. We discussed these points also. We'll connect all those. So now we'll go and set the ledger options. Go to our implementation project.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, 1 second, please. Okay, go to implementation project. Overview. So this is our implementation project. Now we have to specify the ledger options. Already we discussed what is the meaning of specifying the ledger options. It's all about primarily setting up retained earnings account to calculate the profits for segment value. So search for the task called as specify ledger options. So we could see two tasks. Ignore the first task. The task is talking about secondary ledgers. We are not dealing with any secondary ledgers as of now. Click on this task. Specify ledger options. So when you look at specify ledger options, you can notice our primary ledger is selected in the scope. Yes, in the last session we verified that. Choosing primary ledger and all, we just tested. Now you can directly click on go to task icon. It will take us to ledger options for our ledger. If you want to change the ledger, click on the ledger name. That's how you can change. The same we discussed already. Now click on go to task icon. So we discussed few points. After creating the primary ledger, we cannot change the currency, chart of accounts, and accounting calendar. We can change the name and we can change the accounting method. Select journal language here. English. And select returned earnings account. Click
The
on
name we can anytime we can change. Suppose we are in middle of a year, some transaction already has happened. We want to change the ledger of the name of the ledger. We can do.
anytime you can change the ledger name. There's no restriction
Okay.
on that. The field is editable. Anytime you can change. Any reason if you want to change the ledger display name, you can change it. Here any company you can choose. Already we discussed this point in the last session. Any department we can choose. Only the point is we should choose the returned earnings account. Account should be the returned earnings. Company and department can be anything. Based on company and department what we are choosing, nothing system is going to calculate. Based on the transactions which are available, accordingly it will calculate the returned earnings for each balance and segment value. But now you can select returned earnings. Say okay. We selected company code, department code, and account code. We selected 3 codes. Based on these 3 codes, system will create code combination. Okay, code combination. So that point we discussed here. Okay, code combination we discussed. Within that code combination, the very important code is account code. That is the reason this code combination we can call as account code combination. Okay, we are selecting code combination. We are selecting the code system is creating the code combination. The same you can call as account code combination. Within this codes is the account also. So account is the primary code. That is the reason the entire code combination you can call as account code combination. Right? And one more important point here, system is we submitted this. These are the 3 code combinations. These 3 code combinations we never created within the instance. We'll discuss few points here. Okay. The code combinations what we are creating, those are new code combinations or existing code combination system will verify. Okay. New code combinations. Okay. So new code combinations. When you create any code combination by selecting company, department, account, and other segments, whatever you have as per your chart of account, system will have a validation. If the code combination is new and if the permissions are given to that code combinations at your chart of accounts level, then only it will allow us to create the new code combinations. So mostly in almost all the implementations, yes, we allow to create new code combinations. If you want to set any rules, yes, we can set by using the concept called as cross-validation rules. That anyway we will discuss as a part of GL. Now the simple point is, whenever you try to create new code combination, system will have a validation whether permissions are there for this chart of account structure or not. If permissions are given, system will allow us to create the new code combinations where we can give the permissions exactly at chart of account structure instance level. We created chart of account structure instance, we didn't give any permissions. The reason, by default, when you create the chart of account structure instance against the structure, automatically system will select the checkbox called as the new code
Dynamic allows.
is allowed. Okay, new code combination is allowed. That's what system will allow us. Now see, system accepted. This is a very new code combination. System is accepted. Now I'll show where you can set that restriction or permission also. We'll come across that. But now just say accept. Say save and close. Okay, say save and close. That's how you can complete the ledger options. Okay, there is a lot of other details within the ledger options. Based on the concepts we can come across. As a part of setups, once you create the primary ledger, you can provide just retained earnings account. That's how you can complete the basic definition of ledger options. And if you want to create the legal entity which refers the company registration information, you have to create the legal address. With that address, you can create the legal entity. If you want to create any addresses of the system, we require geographies information. Okay, for each and every country, we need the country geography information. So for that, we have to enable the geographies. We no need to do anything. With a single click, we can enable the complete information is Oracle is providing. With a one click, you can enable the geographies information that you can use everywhere. Where and where you can use the geographies information. Say you are going to create the legal address. You are going to create the legal address for your legal entity. Yes, you require geographies information. You are going to create your business unit. When you say business unit, we discussed in the last session, you can treat the branch is one of your business unit. Okay. So where you have your business unit, if you want to address that, you require location information. For that purpose also we require geographies information. So you are going to create your customer in the system. You have to define the customer address. For that we need geographies information. When you create the suppliers, you require address definition for that suppliers. We need geographies information. So you are going to have your warehouse information, the system where you have your warehouse. For that also we require geographies information. When you deal with any locations or say addresses, geographies information is required for us. For that purpose, we have to enable the geographies. We'll go and see that. Click on done. The geographies related task you don't find in the project. What you can do is directly you can go to the task called as setup and maintenance. And here you can click on task list, click on search. Here you can search with the term called as geographies or say manage geographies. You know, most of the tasks, 99% tasks starts with manage. Okay, here is a task called as manage geographies. Click on this task. Now you want to enable the geography's information for which country? Okay, search for that country. Say we are going to do the implementation for one of our US client. So for US country, we have to enable the geographies. So country name and country code. You can provide country code or name. Click on search. So when you are dealing with a fresh instance, okay, when you work for the client, always we deal with the fresh instance. When we deal with the fresh instance, what we have to do is, this is how you have to find out the country, and here you could see the country record. Okay, United States record we have here. Now go to actions and you have to click on import geography data. With one click, system will activate the geography data for this selected country. Now here you can notice this function or this action is disabled, grayed out. The reason is within this Vision instance already the task is performed. Okay, as a part of Vision instance, what Oracle is doing, they are submitting this task. If it is a first instance, this action you can find like other actions. Active mode. This is a inactivated mode, disabled. The reason already it is submitted in this instance. Okay, remember you have to search for the country, then go to actions, click on import geography data. System will run some process and the specific country data will be activated the same way for other countries also. So you want to enable the geography's information for India. Okay, search for the country, the country name or country code, then go to actions and click on import geography data. That's it. The address style, based on the address style, whatever the data is required for the country, everything Oracle is taking care of. We don't need to do anything related to that. Now once you click on that, what system will do, you will see here. So this and all, we don't need to do anything. Here you could see the structure. Click on structure, or else better we'll go with a US based. Okay, click on this structure defined. Click on this structure defined, tick mark. It will show once you click on, okay, once you click on that load geography data, what system will load, it will show here. You can add some additional geography types also. This is the default one. State, within the state we have a counties, within the county we have a city, within the city we have a postal code. And this additional two somebody added. We can add additional geography types also. Okay. If you want to add any geography type here, you can add. This is all you can just. If you want to add some region, you can add like this, not required. So whatever Oracle is providing, that would be more than enough for us. So you can say save and close. We did some small change. Somebody added some additional geography types. We added. Those are the standard what you could see here. As per the geography address style, you can find the data here. Hierarchy define. Click on hierarchy define. Now you can see the country is United States. In that country, how many states we have, all you could see here. These all are loaded by Oracle only. Okay, once you click on load geography data, this all will be activated. All the states, you can expand any one of the state. Under the state, you can see all the counties. All the counties you can expand. Under counties, you can see cities. These all are the cities. You can expand any one of the city. You can see the postal codes. Say you identified for so and so state, so and so county is missing, or in so and so county, so and so city is missing as per the system. Okay, if you come across with that sort of issues, you can add the cities. Say for example, if you want to add the city, you have to select the county. Under county only you can have cities. You can select county. Just select county. Here add icon is enabled. Click on add. and you can just give the city name. Okay, the data what you are providing, what is the reference? Just user entered by identifying mistakes as per a taxware engine or Vertex tax engine or with some other source, on what base, with what reference you are entering, that you can specify and say save and close. This new city will be added into that county. What you can say, like in this county, specific county. This is a county we selected. Under that, the new city is added. Ideally, it is not required. This and all Oracle will take care. But just to understand how to add, if you want to add, we are testing that point. Okay. And here validation define. Click on this validation define. Here we no need to do anything. Just only one action. Okay. You have to click on load geography data. Rest system will take care of. Here make sure that all the checkboxes are enabled for this address format and tax address format. Even for no style format also, make sure that all checkboxes are enabled. Okay. If you enable these checkboxes, see, enable list of values. When you create the location, in the state field, it will display all the states. If the checkbox is enabled, all the states it will display when you create the location or address. If you enable the checkbox as a for county, if enable list of value checkbox is enabled, it will display all the counties. You can select specific county in the same way city and postal code. Tax validation, when you are dealing with the tax, this would be useful. And geography validation, here if you are not enabling, ideally validation is required. If you don't enable the checkbox, you have to enter the state name. Whatever you are entering the state name, what Oracle is providing as a state name, both should match. For that, validation is required. Even if you enable the checkbox, also you keep this geography validation checkbox as it is. Okay, ideally not required, you can keep as it is. We are not changing anything. Reality, you no need to change anything. What we have to do is, we have to go to a task called as manage geographies and find the country for which country you are going to do the implementation. Go to actions, click on import geography data. Then the hierarchies will be loaded, and as per hierarchies, data will be loaded, and the validation and everything system will mark. So this is how we have to keep specific country data ready. Say we are going to do the implementation for US client. Okay, for US you have to submit this process, and you have a clients in, I mean to say, you have a suppliers and customers in India. When you are running the business in US, if you have a suppliers and customers in India, when you create the address for India client, India supplier, you need geography information. That means for India also you have to submit this load geography data process. So you have a customers and suppliers in which countries. For those countries also you have to submit this task. This is a one-time task, and again it works at instance level. Okay, instance level it will work. Say you are doing the implementation for 10 countries. If you run this process for US, even the same US data is required in the multiple countries, since they have a suppliers and customers in US. So same data we can use. Okay. So for country-wise implementation purpose, you don't need to enable it. The instance level setup. Once you load this geography data with one click, that can be used for any country related business operations if that country related address style is required based on their business operations. Okay. No need to think on this point. This is very simple. Task name you should aware. Then find the country related record. Go to actions. Click on import geography data. You no need to change or you no need to set anything. Everything Oracle will take care. All the data they are providing the instance. Once you click on that load geography data, the data which is available within the instance, that they will activate, so that would be available for address creation. Now we'll see how to create the legal address. There you can understand the geography information, how it is going to be useful for us. Okay. So enable geographies is nothing but how to click on that action. Yeah, please.
One quick question, Mr. Lakshman, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
See, once the structure, can we change the order of the structure once it is imported?
Yeah. See, after importing, no. After importing, no. Okay. After importing, just if you try to change anything, everything will get disturbed. Okay. You cannot change it. System will freeze. It will protect from the changes. You cannot do that. If you want to change any order and all, only the thing is everything you have to add through manual process. Okay, go to manage geographies. Okay, search. If you want to go with something else, you just don't run this process. Don't run import geographies. Without running, directly you can go to structure defined, and here see delete option is removed because data is loaded. So it will be empty by default. If you don't submit that process, then you can add one by one, whatever you require. Whatever required, you can add like this. Then you have to enter the data. Okay, here also, the next step also, you have to add the data for those values. Here you have to select the country. Okay, and you have to click on add so that states will be created through manual process. All the states you can enter one by one here. After states, you can select the state and you can create the county. Then you can select the county and you can create the cities, then postal codes. This is how you can manage. If you change something, the complete process we have to manage with through manual process only. Okay. So simply we go with the import geography data so that everything will be loaded. Once you load, you cannot.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to enter manual process, define structure and enter as how you require. But that is not at all recommended. Always we go with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one more question pointing to this. I mean, once the structure is imported, can we delete and add the manually?
The entire structure you cannot delete. Only the point here is you can see. Within that, what we have, just you can manage. Say, not required. That is generally not required.
Okay, done. Thank you.
I'll just show you since you have that point here.
Those are a seeded values, right, sir?
Correct, exactly. Seeded. Whatever Oracle is providing, you can call as seeded data. So here go to hierarchy defined. Say you created structure and or else you loaded data. And here we have a states, etc. Say this you want to delete this state, you can click on delete. Or else you want to add one more county within that. Select state and then we'll be able to create the count. If you want to delete, use delete option for this. Or else specific county, you delete. Select county and delete.
No, actually, my point is, Mr. Lakshman, not deleting each item. What I meant to
That's what I said. The entire you cannot.
Yeah, right.
Done. Just notice this point. You no need to do anything with this. Just notice. Okay, when you are doing the implementation, as per sequence, what we have to do. So once you are ready with the primary ledger, with the ledger options, before you go and create the legal address, just submit that process. Now we'll see how to create the legal address. These are all you can do from our project. Okay, now let's navigate to our implementation project. Manage implementation projects. Click on overview so that system will display what are the projects are assigned to current user. Open this project and search for the task called as legal addresses. This could be legal address or some other address. Everywhere the geography data would be available. The task name is manage legal addresses. Click on manage legal addresses and click on go to task icon. Now here you can create the address. Say already you created address. If you want to find that address, you can use this search criteria, but we didn't create any address. Let's create new address. Say create. Just click on create function. Okay. Select country. The address belongs to which country? Say United States. Where you can specify the city, state, postal code, and county. So this is the address style as per US. So now what we can do here is you just select the postal code. On top level we have a state. Under state you will have a county. Under county you will have a city. Under city you will have a postal code. This is a hierarchy already we have seen in managed geographies. Now you can select postal code. The postal code should belong to so and so city. The city should be under so and so county. The county should belong to so and so state. Right. So select any one of the postal code. Okay. The registration, whatever the company registration you have with which postal code, that postal code you can search and select. For our testing purpose, I am going with one random postal code. I'm selecting this is a postal code, and this is a city name, and this is a county name, and this is a state name. Based on the postal code, you can select the combination. You don't need to select all one by one. All are maintained with hierarchy. Now you can say okay, or else let's include the name what we are using. Okay, the same you can click on edit. Here we can give address line name as XYZ legal address. Just say okay. Okay, you can see the location, legal address location we created as a XYZ legal address. Say save and close. Now during the legal entity creation, legal address is mandatory. Without legal address, you cannot create legal entity. So we'll use this legal address to create the legal entity. So we have seen how to enable the geographies, and we created legal address just now. Now we'll go and create the legal entity. We discussed the relevant point. What does it mean by legal entity? How many legal entities we have to create? Legal entity is nothing but company registration information. How many legal entities we have to create when you do the implementation? How many registrations they have? Equal to that, we have to create the legal entities in the system. So go to implementation project, search for the task called as legal entities. Okay. Here we can see one task called as manage legal entity. Okay, task name is manage legal entity. Click on this task. Okay. Click on go to task icon. Now what we are going to do? Are we going to create the legal entity, or we are going to find out the existing one? Select it. We are going to create. We not yet created any legal entity. We are going to create legal entity. So select value as a create new. Now click on apply and go to task. So in this page you can see many legal entities are already created. But in case of fresh instance, you don't find anything. You will find this page as a blank. Anyway, we'll see how to create the legal entity. So click on create. So provide legal entity name. When you give the legal entity name, you have to include company name, country name, and you have what exactly you are creating, that you can write as a write within the name. Say XYZ USA legal entity. So legal entity identifier. Okay, it's nothing but registration number. When you go for registration, you'll have a registration number, unique identification for our entity. That number you can enter here. For our testing purpose, any number you can enter, system will accept. Reality, when you create legal entity, we'll get a legal document from the client. Based on that, we have to create with what name they registered, what is the registration number, all we have to select. Fine. We given the name, okay, and we given the registration number. And here we have two checkboxes. These are very, very important. If you don't enable these two checkboxes, you cannot use this legal entity wherever it is really required. What are those checkboxes? Payroll statutory unit. Payroll statutory unit. With this registration, are you going to run the payrolls? Are you going to run the payrolls for the employees? That we have to specify. If you have a registration with that, you are running the. If you are going to run the payrolls, then only that will get some meaning. Otherwise, you have some registration, you are not running the payrolls. If you are not running the payrolls, that means you are not running company, you don't have employees at all. So you should enable the checkbox called as payroll statutory unit. Simply, you can place the cursor on this help icon. It talks about what is the meaning of payroll statutory unit. That means with this legal entity, with this registration, okay, you are responsible to report the payroll tax and the social insurance. It totally depends on the country it will display. So in case of United States, that payroll tax and the social insurance, so that system is displaying, you should enable. If you don't enable, you cannot use this legal entity as per the process, whatever, however we require. Enable the checkbox. And the legal employer. If you are going to hire the employees based on this registration, based on this company identification, you should enable the checkbox. Yes, we should enable these two checkboxes. You can just place the cursor on this help icon. The legal entity that employs people. Okay, the legal entity that employs people, you will just hide the employees. So with which entity identification you are going to do, so that we have to specify here. Yes, with this registration, we are going to hire the employees and we are going to run the payrolls. That's what we have to specify here. Enable these two checkboxes. Now this registration you have based on which address. Select address here. Legal address. Just now we created address. The same address you can select. Click on search. We given the name as XYZNC legal address. Select and say OK. Okay, and provide this PIN number and all based on that country. The numbers, whatever the registration numbers and other numbers applicable, you can enter. For testing purpose, you can provide any data. And say save and close. Say save and close. This legal entity will be created with the minimum provided inputs. But remember, these checkboxes are not mandatory as per legal entity creation, but we should aware. If you create legal entity without enabling these checkboxes, you cannot use this legal entity wherever you require as per setups as well as process also. Okay, so enable these two checkboxes and complete the legal entity creation. Done. Now we discussed a few other points also in the last session itself. If you want to assign the balance and segment values to legal entity, first we have to assign the legal entity to primary ledger. Right? The first step is assign legal entity to primary ledger. The second step is assign balance and segment values to legal entity. Right? So assign legal entity to primary ledger. We'll go and do this. Here search for the task called as assign legal entities. Say assign legal entity. So this is the task what we discussed here. Assign legal entity to primary ledger. The task wise they are giving as assign legal entities. Okay, assign legal entities. That means assign legal entities to primary ledger. To perform that activity, we have a task name called as assign legal entities. Click on the same task. Okay, assign legal entities. You can notice here in the selected scope, we have our primary ledger. Now, if you try to assign any legal entry, that legal entities will be assigned to this primary ledger only. If you want to assign any legal entity to different primary ledger, change the primary ledger in the selected scope by clicking on the ledger name that already we discussed. Now, anyway, we are going to assign our legal entity to our primary ledger only. So now you don't need to change anything. Simply you click on go to task icon so that system will allow us to assign the legal entities to this primary ledger only. Just click on go to task icon. So this is our primary ledger, XYZ USA primary ledger. To this primary ledger, how many legal entities you have to assign? To single primary ledger, you can assign multiple legal entities also possible. Now we have only one legal entity which we created. Let's assign. Click on select and add and provide legal entity name. Search for the legal entity. XYZ search, select, say apply, and say done. If you have one more legal entity, find out one more legal entity and assign. So I'm just searching for our testing purpose ABC, no legal entity, some XYZ, nothing, some US. There is one legal entity. Why this legal entity is getting displayed here? The reason is simple. The legal entity is created and not yet assigned to any primary ledger. Once legal entity is assigned to primary ledger, that won't be available again to search and find. That means one legal entity you can assign to only one primary ledger. The one legal entity cannot be assigned to multiple primary ledgers. Just notice this point. Okay. So one legal entity we can assign to only one primary ledger. So whatever we created, we already assigned. If you try to find our legal entity also, you don't get XYZ search, not coming. Reason already we assigned just now. Right? Just click on apply and click on done. So we assigned XYZ USA legal entity to this primary ledger. Now within this primary ledger, okay, what are the balance and segment values we have? Those we have to assign to legal entity. We assigned or not, you can see here also. Company values, no values. That means within this primary ledger, what are the balance and segment values or company values we have? Those are not yet assigned to this legal entity. If those are already assigned, you can see here. Not yet assigned, we know that. Say save and close. What we did, just we assigned our legal entity to our primary ledger. Okay, we assigned our legal entity to primary ledger. The next step is assign balance and segment values to legal entity. Okay, so assign balance and segment values to legal entity. We'll go and do this. Here we have a task called as assign balance and segment values to legal entities. We want to assign the balance and segment values to legal entities from which ledger? Yes, the same ledger. Okay. So just click on go to task icon. Remember, there is one more task called as assign balance and segment values to ledger. Ideally, you no need to do anything. You no need to assign balance and segment values to ledger. That is not mandatory. Okay, that is not at all mandatory. If you have some sort of dummy companies which you are going to use for internal reporting and all, those scenarios, you can assign balance and segment values to ledger. Even that is not mandatory. So this task ideally not required. Okay, we are talking about this task. Assign balance and segment values to legal entities. Okay, against the task, click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon. So within this primary ledger, we have our chart of accounts. Within the chart of accounts, we have our balance segment. Under that balance segment, whatever the values are available, those we will be able to assign to this legal entity. Okay, so this is the legal entity. Click on create. To this legal entity, what balance segment values you want to assign? You have to select one by one. Select 1000, then it will display the description. That's consulting services. Now say save and assign another. Select 2000. Say save and assign another. We have one more balance and segment value 3000. Now you can say we don't have any additional values, right? Then finally you can say save and close. Now you can see the three companies, three balance and segment values are assigned to this legal entity. Say save and close. Fine. Done. We assign balance and segment values to legal entity. Now the task is complete primary ledger. Okay, complete primary ledger. Here as per Fusion, we have two databases. One is Oracle database. The other one is Essbase database. So two databases we can use to store the data. What data, how we will discuss here, then we'll proceed with the actual point, what we have to understand. So if you want to store the data in the Oracle database, we can store the data in the Oracle database with the help of tables. In Essbase database, we can store the data with multi-dimensional cubes. Okay. Here, what purpose we use this Oracle database? To store the setups, what we are doing, and what are the transactions we are recording. Okay, related to Oracle applications. So any setups you will do, the data will get stored in Oracle database in the relevant tables. And if you are going to record any transactions, the data also will get stored in the Oracle database in the form of tables. And in Oracle database, okay, we'll see that part later. And when we talk about Essbase database, here we don't store the setups. Here just always we will store the balances. Okay. Oracle database, we can say transactional database. At Essbase, we store the balances for the purpose of reporting. Okay. We store the balances here for the purpose of reporting. There is one concept called as Hyperion reporting. There is a reporting tool. There are other relevant products also, but we don't need to discuss about those. Whatever we require, let's discuss. There is one tool called as Hyperion Financial Report, HFR. In other words, you can call as FRS also. Financial Reporting Studio. Okay. You can call it as HFR, Hyperion Financial Reporting, or you can call it as FRS, Financial Reporting Studio. So this is a tool Oracle introduced in the Fusion applications. It's a very powerful tool and a very famous tool for reporting. If you want to prepare the reports by using these tools, the transactional data should be available in the Essbase database. If data is available in the tables, this tool cannot understand. This tool cannot fetch the data to prepare the reports. The data should be available in the cubes, not in the tables. But in Oracle database, that you can store the data in the tables only. If you connect this tool to Oracle database, it will look for cubes, but cubes are not there here. So that is the reason what Oracle it is. In Fusion applications, along with the Oracle database, they introduced Essbase database also, and they connected Oracle database with the Essbase database. Whenever you have a transactions here in Oracle database, whenever you have a transactions in Oracle database, based on the process, that would be copied to Essbase. So you created 10 transactions here, that information will goes to Essbase automatically. They connected these two databases with a full synchronization. You don't need to do any manual activity. Say you created transactions and you processed in Oracle database. What does it mean by processing transaction? We will come to know. For now, simple point you can take. You created and you processed transaction specific application. It could be payables or receivables or general ledger application. Then the information will get stored in the Oracle database, and again it will get stored in the specific table. Then automatically the data will goes to Essbase database and it will get stored in the cubes, and the same data will be maintained in the form of balances, summary balances. Now if you want to prepare Hyperion financial reports, HFR or FRS you can call, so you can do that. So this HFR is always connected with Essbase. If any data is available in the Essbase, accordingly this tool can generate the reports. Now actual data will get generated in the Oracle database. The same data if you have in Oracle database, you cannot generate the reports with the help of Hyperion financial reporting. That is the reason in the Oracle database, what are the transactional data you have, that they are pumping into Essbase. So the data will get stored in the Essbase in the multi-dimensional cubes. Once data is available in the cubes, this tool can generate the reports. That means to prepare the Hyperion financial reports, they are moving the data from Oracle database to Essbase database. So now we created our primary ledger. Okay, now we create our primary ledger. If you want to complete our primary ledger, what system will do is, so far what are the setups we completed, all system will validate and it will verify. If everything is fine, then this primary ledger definition also it will copy from Oracle database to Essbase database. Once the primary ledger definition is moved from Oracle database to Essbase database, then we can say our primary ledger definition is ready. We can say primary ledger is completed. Then you can start using that primary ledger. Okay, complete primary ledger is nothing but after completing all the primary ledger related setups, including legal entity and all, we have to move that definition from Oracle database to Essbase database, so that when you prepare the reports with that, when you record the transactions with that primary ledger, the data can be copied from Oracle database to Essbase database for the purpose of Hyperion financial reporting. Now to complete that primary ledger definition, we have a separate task. Just for our understanding, I have given the name as complete primary ledger, but reality the name is, okay, say review and submit accounting configuration. Okay, this is the task name. Review and submit accounting configuration. Review and submit accounting configuration. If you submit this task, system will validate our primary ledger. If everything is fine, it will copy our primary ledger definition from Oracle database to Essbase. If anything wrong with that, it will fail. What could be the potential reasons this process can fail? So mostly if you use any special characters in your chart of accounts or primary ledger definitions or legal entity definitions, this process will identify as those are special characters and it will fail, and it will generate that message also. Okay, it will create the log file and you can verify that. Fine. Now we'll go on to submit this task. What is the purpose of this task? This task will validate our primary ledger. If everything is fine, our primary ledger definition will be copied from Oracle database to Essbase database. So the same definition, whenever you have a transactions in Oracle database, the transaction related summary balances will be copied to Essbase so that you can find out that information with the help of reports. The reporting tool name is HFR, Hyperion Financial Reporting, or call it as FRS, Financial Reporting Studio. You can call it Hyperion Financial Reporting or Financial Reporting Studio. Okay, now we'll go to submit this task and we'll check the status of this task. Go to our project, scroll little down. Here you have a task called as review and submit accounting configuration. Now we want to submit which primary ledger. Make sure that our primary ledger only we have in the selected scope. Yes, in the selected scope we have our primary ledger. XYZ Inc. USA primary ledger. Now click on go to task icon. Okay, now click on. So here you can click on submit. Now it will trigger the process. So the create accounting configuration process has been submitted with this reference number. You can say okay. If you want to see the progress of that submitted, what you can call that, you can call as a job. Okay, if you want to see that, go to navigator and go to tools and click on scheduled processes. Click on scheduled processes task. It will take us to the page where system is running those processes. Now here you can see complete accounting configuration. The process is running. Complete accounting configuration, load chart of accounts values, succeeded. And complete accounting configuration, create balance cubes. Load chart of account values means system copied chart of account related information from our Oracle database to Essbase database. For each value, system is creating one cube. Each value means for currency it will create one cube. Within our accounting calendar, whatever the periods we have, for periods it will create one cube. And each and every segment, whatever we have in our chart of accounts, for those it will create one cube. And for our chart of accounts also it will create one cube. Our ledger it will create one cube. For each and everything what we have, for those it will create the cubes. Simply you can say for each and every column or field it will create separate cubes in the Essbase. The process system is running. These three jobs are very much stabilized. Okay, 100% this will be complete without any issues if you have a proper definition of your primary ledger and legal entries. Never create your chart of accounts or primary ledger or legal entries with special characters. Okay, just click on refresh to see the status of these three jobs. Now you can see the three jobs completed with the status called as succeeded. So a few other jobs also triggered. Maybe some other people are using the same instance and they are working. Now see, complete accounting configuration status succeeded. Complete accounting configuration load chart of account value succeeded. And create balance cube status, this is succeeded. Okay, done. That's what we need. Now we'll go and verify the status of our primary ledger. The moment we created our primary ledger, we check the status. The status was in process. Now we completed this, we'll go and verify the status of our primary ledger. Go to our implementation project to search or say to find out the status of our primary ledger. Go to task list, manage implementation projects, overview, open the project. Okay. Here you can say manage primary ledger. Okay, manage primary ledgers. Click on go to task icon. Here find out our primary ledger. Use enter key. See the status of our primary ledger confirmed. If primary ledger status is confirmed, this you can use to record the transactions. That's all. Our primary ledger is ready. Now, if you want to record the transactions with the primary ledger, just for testing purpose, we'll create one transaction, then we'll proceed with the actual configuration, what process we'll follow as per real-time implementation. Okay, since our primary ledger is ready, we'll try to create one single transaction, simple transaction for our understanding. Okay, now say you want to create the transactions by using that primary ledger. With a just primary ledger, you can, with the only primary ledger, you can create the transactions in GL only. If you want to create the transactions in tables applications, along with the primary ledger, we need business unit. Along with the primary ledger, we need business unit also to record the transactions on the payables application or receivables application or purchasing application or and few other applications. Now anyway, we cannot record the transactions in payables and receivables. Only the option is we can create the transactions in general ledger application. Now we assign two roles to this user. What is the purpose? The first role purpose is to have access to setup. That is nothing but application implementation consultant role. The other role is IT security manager for the purpose of to access the security console so that we can create the users and we can assign the roles to the same or other users. So that is the purpose we are using these two roles. These two roles, you can say, very common roles. These two roles are not specific to any application. But when if you want to work on any business process, you need access to application specific roles. For payables, Oracle is providing the few roles. What are the roles Oracle is providing for payables? Those you call as seeded roles. Okay, predefined Oracle provided roles, which comes with along with the product. Those you can call as seeded roles. So for payables, Oracle is providing the seeded roles. For receivables, Oracle is providing the seeded roles. In the same way, general ledger application, fixed assets, cash management, and you take any other application. For all the applications, Oracle is providing the seeded roles. So initially we'll go with those seeded roles so that we can understand how we can access from the specific user and what else we have to do when we are dealing with that, we'll understand. And going forward, we'll have a separate session on the roles customization. As per business requirement, how to create new roles or else how to copy and modify Oracle provided roles and how to compare one role with the role to understand what we have inside of each and every role. We'll work on that. We'll have one separate session on that. For now, you no need to think on those points. How to create new role, how to customize. Customization means creating new or modifying something existing one. So those points you no need to focus for now. You may be from EBS background and all. You no need to focus on that. Let's target to understand for which application, which roles Oracle is providing, how you can provide the access to the user and how we can provision something else we'll discuss now. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll assign the GL roles to user. Okay, so that you will be able to work on general ledger application. Now you can say assign GL roles. We'll assign GL roles to user. After assigning the GL user, to GL roles we have to assign our primary ledger. Otherwise, accessing the GL related functionality, you cannot record anything. To record anything, you need primary ledger. So the first step is assign GL roles to user. Next step is assign primary ledger to GL roles. Okay. Here what we are doing? Simple. What we are doing here is GL roles we are assigning to we are assigned to user. Okay. The user will have access to GL roles to record the transactions. but the user can use which primary ledger. That you have to assign to GL roles. This is the process. The first step is assign GL roles to user. Then second step is assign primary ledger to GL roles. That means we'll assign primary ledger to GL roles where already those roles are assigned to user. Okay, this is what we are going to do now. Assign GL roles to user. Assign primary ledger to GL roles. After assigning, we'll discuss few other points. For now, we'll see what are the roles Oracle is providing for GL as a seeded roles. The GL seeded roles. Okay, those are 5. Oracle is providing 5 seeded roles. When we talk about roles, we have a type of roles also. Roles are classified into different types. That point we'll discuss very soon. Initially, if you discuss, yes, you can understand. For few people, it will become great confusion. So now, if you don't understand about role types, there is no issue. But we'll try to understand what we should understand now. Maybe after a few classes, I'll just touch that point also. But now, simply you can take GL seeded roles or say GL roles. For GL, whatever Oracle is providing, that we call as seeded roles. Simply you can say GL roles or GL seeded roles. Oracle is providing the 5 seeded roles for general ledger application. Okay, you can write here and we can proceed, or else we'll assign and we'll copy and we'll make a note here. Okay, or else I'll take here, later we'll move to other place. Okay. We'll go and assign GL roles to the current user so that the current user can have access to general ledger application functionality. Do you think current user got access to general ledger application? Anyone, please? Do you think current user got access to general ledger application?
No, I don't think so.
How can you say?
Because we have only assigned 2 roles to the user. That's application implementation consultant and IT security manager.
Yeah, correct. The current user got access to general ledger application related setups, not for process. This is very important. When you say application implementation consultant role, the application implementation consultant role will give the access to all the applications, but is limited to setups only. For any application related process, if you want to access the process related any activity, if you want to perform, the application specific roles are required. Okay, the application implementation consultant role to whom you are assigning, they can have access to all the application related setups, but single transaction also can be created with the help of that role or by that user. So for that reason, to perform the transactions, we require additional roles. Those we have to assign to the user. I will go and assign those 5 seeded roles to our user. Go to the task called as security console. Under tools, we have security console. Go to this task. Find out our user XYZINC. Search. Click on display name or username. Click on edit. Click on add role. Okay. Search for the roles. Okay. You can search with the term called as general account or general accountant. You have different roles. I'm searching for general accountant role. Here you can notice the role name is general accountant and other role name also general accountant. Do you find any difference in these two roles? Names are same. Do you find any difference?
ORA, Mr. Lakshman.
Yeah. One is starting with the GL general accountant job. This we call as role code. Ideally, by seeing the role code only, we can understand the role belongs to which application. Okay, general accountant means general accountant role can be used, may be used in different applications, but exactly this role is defined for which application that you can see in the role code only. We have GL. If you don't have like a GL, there is no clue where this role can be used by seeing this name. Okay, this role code is starting with the GL general accountant, and other role code is starting with ORA as a prefix. Okay, the additional prefix you could see ORA. What is the difference between these two? Okay, what is the difference between these two?
ORA is the seeded role, sir. GL is a modified by users.
No. Both are seeded only. What Oracle is doing is they are giving the flexibility to modify this role where we don't have
Yes.
ORA. If ORA is not there as a part of role code as a prefix, this can be edited directly. You can open this role and you can edit. That we'll understand later how to edit and all. That is not for us, just for information.
Yes.
Once
There is some
explain, you can
okay.
revise your questions maybe after some time. Let me explain few points. Okay, so if role code is without ORA, that can be edited. If you have a role code which is starting with ORA, you cannot edit that role. But if you want to edit that role also, what you have to, you can copy that role and you can edit, but directly you cannot edit. That means what Oracle is providing, they are restricting not to update the seeded roles that is applicable only which is starting with ORA. That is the one point. The other point is it is very specific to payable general ledger application only. It is not applicable for the payables and receivables. What are the points I am going to discuss with you? The point is in general accountant role, these are the same role. Two copies we have, two definitions we have with a slight difference called as role code. In two roles, okay, in two roles we'll have the same privileges, but even you have the same privileges, certain functionalities doesn't work if you select the role called as general accountant, GL general accountant job. When it comes to general ledger application, always you prefer to choose where role code is starting with ORA. Now you have to completely ignore general accountant. You have to proceed with this. Why we are proceeding with this? We have two copies. If you have two copies, you have to choose ORA prefix. If you have only one copy, that you have to accept. There is no other option. Remember this. Which role code is starting with ORA as a prefix, that role cannot be modified directly. Another important point is when you search for any role, if you find the two role definitions of the same name, always prefer to choose which role code is starting with ORA. When you search for any role, if the role code is if you find only single role, you no need to look at role code. Maybe ORA or without ORA, you have to choose the same. If you have two, then only you have to choose ORA prefix. So this is a point we have to understand. Now your next question may be, what is this? We have a general accountant and Australia primary ledger and all. Why we are not able to find our primary ledger here? So in the very older versions, there was a system and there was a process. Once you create primary ledger, automatically primary ledger will be assigned to all the GL roles. The moment you create the primary ledger will be assigned to all the GL roles automatically. That was the practice Oracle followed in the older version. With that, they identified many mistakes. There were many challenges they faced and clients reported and all. Based on those learning lessons, Oracle decided not to assign the primary ledger to specific roles, and that should be done through manual process. Okay. So, but why we have all these in this environment? This is a vision instance. So when this Vision instance was with the older version, these all are created as a sample. Now this is upgraded to latest version. Still the data is available in this instance. That is only the point. Tomorrow when you work for the client, you never see like general accountant and your primary ledger names, definitions. Nowhere you see this sort of definitions. Okay. So that's what we have to understand. Okay, ignore all this, not required. When you are working, you never see, since it's a Vision instance, when it was older one. So those definitions are generated, they upgraded to latest version, and still the data is remain in this instance. That is the reason you are able to see that. Totally you can ignore. Now you have to focus on this two roles only. Role names are same, codes are different. Pick always or a prefix, because it will have a additional privileges also compared to that. And other point anyway we discussed, it cannot be modified directly. So here, general accountant or a GL general accountant job, general accountant copy. That means this role somebody copied. You can copy any role. So if any role is copied by someone else, that you should not touch. You choose whatever Oracle is providing. Just click on this role, say add role membership. Okay, so let me assign all the roles related to GL. Then if you have any questions, we'll discuss. I'll make a note of these role names. General accountant. The next role is general accounting manager. Okay, general accounting manager. So this is the role you can select, general accounting manager. Here also we have a two role codes, or a prefix without ORA. Select this. Select. Say add role membership. Add it. Make a note. The other role is say controller. Here you can notice for controller we have only one role definition. Okay, so if you have only one, you have to pick as this. The role code you can say clearly this role belongs to GL application. Say add role membership. Make a note of this role name. So when you practice, you can use this for reference. The next role is say financial analyst. Okay, here we have two definitions. We know what to choose. This starting with ORA. This belongs to general ledger application. Pick this. Select. Say assign. And the next role is CFO. Okay, Chief Financial Officer. Select. We have single only. The same you can select as this. Okay, these are the 5 roles. These are the 5 roles which we call as seeded roles in GL application. Okay, these 5 roles Oracle is providing. As per our business requirement, you can create a number of roles. How to create and all, we'll see later. When you deal with the role customization, we can see. Now, our user got access to these 5 roles, but by using these roles, what are the transactions users are going to record? They need access to primary ledger. Now we have to assign primary ledger to this. We have to assign the primary ledger to these 5 roles. And if you remember, we created chart of account structure, and against the chart of account structure, we created chart of account structure instance. The instance only we used in the primary ledger creation, and the chart of account structure we are treating as a template. By copying the chart of account structure, we created chart of account structure instance. Instance only we selected at the time of primary ledger creation. Now by using that primary ledger, we will record the transactions. That means with the help of chart of account structure instance only, we are going to create the transactions, not directly because of chart of account structure. So this is a point already we noticed and we experienced. Very similar to that, what Oracle is doing is, whenever we create, okay, so whenever we create our primary ledger, automatically system is creating something. What is that? Data access set. Okay, data access set Oracle is creating. Whenever we create our primary ledger, with the same name, system is creating the data access set. However, we are using the chart of account structure instance instead of using the chart of account structure. We are creating the chart of account structure that we are copying as instance only we are using. The same is applicable here also. Whenever you create the primary ledger, by copying the primary ledger, system will create data access set automatically. Now, instead of assigning the primary ledger to GL roles, we have to assign the data access set to GL roles. As per system, what Oracle is doing is, if you want to assign the primary ledger to these roles, yes, you can assign. But the primary ledger cannot be assigned to all the roles. Only for few roles you can assign. One system will create the data access set by copying the primary ledger. This data access set can be assigned to all the roles. The data access set can be assigned to all the roles, but primary ledger cannot be assigned to all the roles. That's how they give it the functionality. So data access set is a separate functionality also to understand. But as of now, what we are dealing, that you can take as a copy and you can assign, and we can see the benefits of the process at all. Later, when we are working on general ledger application, we'll pick the topic called as data access set and we'll discuss what is the purpose, etc., etc. For now, take simple point. Primary ledger we have to assign to these 5 roles. Is it possible to assign primary ledger to 5 roles? No. Only, I think for 2 roles you can assign the primary ledger. For remaining 3 roles you cannot assign. But anyway, Oracle is copying the primary ledger and it is giving the name as the data access set. That means it will copy the name as it is and it will create the data access set. Can we assign the data access set to all the roles? Yes. Can we assign the primary ledger to all the roles? No. Then our target is assigning primary ledger to all the roles. When primary ledger is converted as a data access set, if you assign, what's wrong? Nothing. The same as it is, it will copy, but definition name would be data access set. Now, as a point you can take, we are going to assign the primary ledger to GL roles, but reality that is not a primary ledger. Primary ledger is copied and system created the same as a data access set. Data access set only we are going to assign to these 5 roles. This is the point we have to understand. Okay, or else let me write that. Here assign primary ledger to GL roles is nothing but we are assigning data access set to primary ledger. Always we call it as assigning primary ledger only. Data access set is created based on primary ledger as it is by copying. Okay, we'll go and see that point. Already we tested how to assign the GL roles to user. Okay, and we'll assign our primary ledger to GL roles, nothing but data access set to primary ledger. After completing this, we'll proceed with your questions related to this point. Okay, go to instance. I think this already we assigned. Say done. And say save and close. 5 roles we assign to user. Now to these 5 roles, we'll go and assign our primary ledger. Okay, whenever you create the primary ledger, automatically system creates data access set. Whether system created data access set with our primary ledger name or not, we'll verify first. Okay, we'll go and check. System created primary data access set for our primary ledger or not, we'll verify. To check that, you may navigate to implementation project. Fine. We want to check whether system created data access set by copying our primary ledger or not. So search for the task called as data access set. Okay, here is the task called as manage data access sets. Click on this task. Just click on go to task icon. So this page is related to data access sets, not related to primary ledger. Try to find our primary ledger here. We never created our primary ledger here as a data access set. Search with our primary ledger name. Here you can see XYJN's USA primary ledger. This is the name we given for our primary ledger. With the same name, what system created? Data access set. Now what you see, that is a data access set. We are in the data access set page. Just click on this, our primary ledger name. How the data access set system created, we can see. How primary ledger we created, we know very well. How system created this data access set by copying our primary ledger, we can understand. Just click on this name. How it copied? See, this is a system generated data access set and cannot be updated. System generated. So when system generated data access set, the name, our ledger name as is, it is copied as a data access set. And data access set they are given as a full ledger. Means if you use the primary ledger, whatever the access you get, what you can access, the same you can access by using this data access set also. So it copied same chart of accounts, same accounting calendar from our primary ledger. Okay, default ledger they are giving our ledger last is. Here you can see same ledger, all values, read and write. So within our primary ledger, whatever the data is available, for all the data this user can access, if user will get assigned to this data access set. That means full access. If you have access to your primary ledger, what you can access, the same you can access if you have access to this data access set. Okay, that means both are equally copied. Whatever we have in our primary ledger as it is copied as a data access set. Okay, here you don't need to do anything. Just now we noticed system created data access set based on our primary ledger. Now this data access set, or you can say this primary ledger, we can assign to user roles. For that we have a separate task. Hope you are making a note of all these task names, etc., what we are doing in the system. If you attend the classes during the presentation, sometimes definitely you will have a challenge. Please make a note of each and every point, what we are discussing and what we are doing in the system. Please prepare some note. Done. Now search for the task called as data access for users. By using the task called as data access for users, you can assign your primary ledger to GL roles. To assign the primary ledger to GL roles, we can use the task called as data access for users. Here, whatever you are referring as a primary ledger, reality that is not a primary ledger, that is a data access set. Yes, reality we created primary ledger. The moment you create the primary ledger, system will create the copy as a data access set. Right? Now click on search. So manage data access for users. By using this task, we can assign our primary ledger to GL roles. Click on this task. Okay, manage data access for users. Click on go to task icon. Done. Now say create. We are going to assign our primary ledger to GL roles. Click on create. Username. Or else better you can type instead of finding, you can type XYZINC. Yes, this is a user. To this user, To which role, which data access set you have to assign, you have to select. To this user already how many roles we assign? Total 7 roles. 5 roles are belongs to general ledger application, 2 roles are common roles. Now what are the roles already assigned to this user? Only those roles you can see here. Only this 7 you can see. Now we are going to assign the primary ledger to only 5 roles. For application implementation consultant and IT security manager, you no need to assign anything because we are not going to perform the transactions with those roles. Inside of those roles, that sort of functionality also not there. Only that is for setup purpose. So always you have to ignore this IT security manager role and do application implementation consultant role when we assign primary ledger or some relevant definitions. So just select one of the role, CFO role, and what you want to assign to this role. What we want to assign, we want to assign the primary ledger. Yes, here you can go to security contest. Security contest is nothing but what you want to assign. If you are from EBS background, it is similar to security profile, not exactly security profile. Okay, we have a security profile concept. Okay, profile options concept. Sorry, not security profile. Profile options concept. In EBS, we have a profile options. In Fusion also we have, but here security contest also similar to profile options, but not. So what we want to assign to primary ledger? Sorry, what we want to assign to this role? We want to assign primary ledger. Here the name whatever they given ledger, it is nothing but primary ledger. Select it. Okay. If the role is CFO role, yes, you can assign the ledger. But if role is, see here, we'll pick different one. Select blank. Okay, just refresh the page. Now we'll drag it. Because we selected the first value, then second value, second value. By keeping as is, we are trying to change the first value. So it got confused what to do next. That is, there were some error messages. Select user. Now select the role called as say general accounting manager. If you want to assign primary ledger to general accounting manager, not possible. You see here. Click on this drop down for security contest. What we have data access set only. There is no ledger option. Go for general accountant. Data access set only we have. We don't have ledger. Financial analyst. Only data access set. Controller. For controller we have data access set as well as ledger also. CFO. Okay, we have a ledger as well as a data access set. But that means for all the roles what we have data access set. Data access set is equal to ledger only. Ledger only copied as a data access set. That is the reason. Okay, we have to assign our primary ledger or data access set to roles with a security contest value called as data access set. Okay, that is the point we have to notice. Now we'll go one by one. Select the first role, CFO, and what we want to assign. I think wrong if you select ledger, but ledger value is not available for all. Better you can go with the data access set. Okay, now you can select your primary ledger. Okay, XYZ USA primary ledger. Now click on add. You can see the name as XYZ INC USA primary ledger. Reality, that is not our primary ledger, that is data accessor. But when during the data accessor creation, system always copy primary ledger name to data accessor.
One quick question, Mr. Lashman. Can't you rename that to have a better meaningful name?
You have seen the message when we opened the data accessor. What was the message? What was the message? Do you remember?
No, I didn't.
This is system generated definition. You cannot change it. Right?
Okay. Yeah, name also.
Yeah, that's what. Fine. The controller role. What we have to assign? Data accessor. Select your data accessor or you call as ledger. Nothing wrong even if you call as ledger. So click on add role. Username is XYZNC. Role name is say financial analyst. Contest is data accessor. What is our data accessor name? Exactly same as ledger name. If you click on add, you have to select the user. Instead of clicking on add, you can click on duplicate. Okay, you can click on duplicate. It will duplicate the copy, the current copy. And again, you don't need to select username, just to change the role and you can proceed. The duplicate copy is generated. Now select general accountant and data access set. Okay, XYZ USA primary ledger. If I click on new, I have to enter the name and everything, role, security, contest and all. If I click on duplicate, it will copy so that name I can keep as it is and remaining values I can change and I can proceed. Again, click on duplicate. Select. Okay. Here what we selected is general accountant. Here what we selected is general accounting manager. Say save and close. We selected everywhere. We must provide the value for these attributes security contest. Here it is not understanding. The role name is general accounting manager. Now say save and close. Cancel and redo this. Okay, I just am saving for these two remaining. Must provide a value. These attributes security contest value. Security contest value, yes, we are providing. Why it is not able to understand? Given this, we'll refresh this page and we'll try. Say create. Say save and close. This is how you can create all. Now it will work fine for remaining all. Controller, data access set. The data access set name is XYZNC USA Primary Ledger. Now click on add XYZNC. Financial analyst, data access set. Name is XYZNC. You can click on duplicate. General accountant, data access set. Again, click on duplicate. The role name is General Accounting Manager. Now say save and close. Okay, 5 we created. If you want to verify, for example, you've done with that or else someone else did that, you want to verify for this user for which ledger access is available and all, then you can go to the same task. Here you can see user without data access, user with data access. Select user with data access. You want to check for which user, provide that username here. Use tab, it will fetch. Then click on search. Now it is showing for this user, for these roles, this ledger access already given. This is how you can verify. Okay. Now what we have to do is, for XYZ user, we assign these 5 roles. For these 5 roles, we assign our primary ledger. Now when you log into that application, or when you start, if you want to start working on this general ledger application related, role related functionality, immediately it won't be available. And again, what's the difference between these 5 roles also we'll discuss, but now not required. Just remember, Oracle is providing the 5 roles for general ledger application. What are those you remember? As of now, that is the target. Okay, later we'll come to know in each and every role what we have, how the general accountant role is different from general accounting manager, which roles are mostly similar, which roles are totally different. We can just check that. In separate session, we can see that in the role customization session. We'll discuss those more detail level. Right. Now we assigned 5 rows to user. To the 5 rows we assigned our primary ledger. To work on this general ledger application, what are the assignments we did? These need to be synchronized. For synchronization purpose, we have to run one job called as LDAP. Say run LDAP job. So LDAP, LDAP, we call as LDAP. L stands for lightweight, D stands for directory, A stands for access, P stands for protocol. Lightweight directory access protocol. Okay, lightweight directory access protocol. with this lightweight directory access protocol, what are the assignments we are doing to the user, what are the assignments we are doing to the roles, those everything will be updated and synchronized with the directory services. Okay, lightweight directory access protocol. There are directory services in the Fusion applications. So in those directories, these assignments need to be updated. Then only user can get access to the same. Otherwise, just because you are assigning, you cannot have access. Whatever you are assigning, those need to be updated where that should be updated. Then only you will be granted access to the respective assignments. So once we assign your primary ledger to GL roles, we should run the job called as LDAP. There is auto synchronization also. Even if you don't run, Oracle will run, but it takes some time. If you want to see the immediate impact of the roles, whatever you assign to the user, you should run it. You should run it. See here, I'll go to Navigator. In the Navigator, you can verify. Okay, in the Navigator, you can verify. Nowhere you can see the section called as General Accounting. General Accounting is nothing but General Ledger application. Okay. General accounting means general ledger. Do you see anything as general accounting? No, you don't see anything here. Once the roles are synchronized, then system will add general accounting in this navigator so that the user can start working on the general ledger application functionality. So as of now, we don't have anything here. Now we'll go and run the LDAP job. Go to schedule process page. Go to tools, schedule processes. Click on schedule new process. Search for the job called as LDAP. Okay, search for the job called as LDAP. Okay, so this is the actual job name. Retrieve latest LDAP changes. This job we have to submit. What it will do is it will verify for any user any roles are assigned or not. If any roles are assigned, to that roles what primary ledger is assigned, what some other objects are assigned, it will verify. Then it will synchronize, it will update so that the assignments will start working on. Now select here. Okay. How I am finding this job is very simple. Click on schedule new process. Okay, just type the name and use tab. It will fetch. Already I tested that. You can go with the search option. LDAP search. Select job called as retrieve latest LDAP changes. These all we call as jobs. If you are from EBS background, these we call as request. Request and request set as per Fusion job and job set. Okay. If you want to submit only one job, yes, job. If you want to submit multiple jobs which are just mapped into one set, you can use job set. Forget about job set, not required for us now. Job. What is job name? Retrieve latest LDAP changes. In Fusion applications, if you are going to run the job, job may be related to process or report also we call as job only here. As a job, you have to submit the report. You can clearly find the description. What are the job you are running? The purpose you can find in the Fusion applications. See the description. What it will do, what this job will do. It will synchronize users and the user related roles and grants with the definition in LDAP. Within the lightweight directory access protocol directory services, what are the changes we are doing, everything need to be updated. This job will do that. Now you can say okay. Say submit. Directly you can say submit and say okay. Just refresh. It takes some time. It will take couple of minutes time. It will take couple of minutes time. So you created user and you assign the roles to that user and you assign your primary ledger. At the same time, I created user and I assigned the roles. I assigned primary ledger to the user related roles. You and me, Both are done in the same instance. If I run this LDAP job, you no need to run. If you run, I no need to run. Okay, because this job will take care of all the changes which happen in the entire instance. It won't look for the specific data which is specific to the user who created. Okay, remember this point. Sometimes even if you don't run this LDAP job, you will be able to have access to general ledger application after assigning the roles. Only the point you have to understand, somebody might have submitted at the same time, or else you understand another point, automatically Oracle also perform this job. Okay, LDAP jobs, they scheduled the background, they'll run with certain intervals. So because of that also the changes whatever we did, those may be in action, like those may be accessible because of those. So try to understand these 2 points. Automatically Oracle is trying to synchronize. The other option is we have to run. Even if you don't run, still if those are going to work, you have to understand because of from Oracle side, others might have done the same. That is the reason you are able to access. So this sort of clarity we require when you deal with this LDAP job. Just click on refresh. Okay, still it is running. You can wait for a couple of minutes time. You don't need to wait till you see the status has succeeded. It may take few minutes time. Not required. My suggestion is just wait for minimum 1 or 2 minutes. After that, you can go and check. You will be able to find out the GL access for this user. Okay, I'm going to just. So better you can sign out and sign in. You will be able to see the changes. Definitely. Otherwise, sometimes it will display, sometimes it won't display. Here I don't see anything general accounting. So we submitted the job also. So for first time, what you can do is sign out and sign.
Lakshman, last time when we assigned the roles, implementation consultant and IT security manager, we didn't have to run this LDAP job, but this time we have to run.
The
Like,
reason is
which cases?
those are very plain roles. Those are very plain roles. We are not assigning anything to those roles, right? Just roles we are assigned to the user. Here the point is, after assigning the roles to user, to the roles we are assigning the primary ledger. So that is the reason we have to run this. Or simply I can say application specific roles we have to run this job. Those are not application specific, those are common roles. That is the reason we are not running. Other difference is, for those roles we are not assigning anything. For these roles we are assigning the primary ledger. Yeah, that's the difference. Now go to Navigator, you can find the general accounting section. See here, general accounting. System added. It was not there in the Navigator. Now we can see general accounting. If you expand general accounting, within this we have a different tasks. If you go to journals task, all the journals related different functionalities you can see, you will be able to work on general ledger application. Okay, here it is asking us to select the primary ledger. Okay, that is separate point. We will just see that later. So our primary ledger is ready. Now in tomorrow's session we'll see how to create the transactions. How to create the transaction by using the primary ledger. Maybe the relevant points and all hardly we have to spend for 30 minutes. 30 minutes are max in 1 hour, and tomorrow's session we can complete that part of testing the primary ledger and other relevant points. Once we're done with that, after 1 hour in the tomorrow session, okay, after spending 1 hour in the tomorrow session, we can complete that part. Then we'll proceed with this chart of accounts. So what are the best practices for chart of accounts, and these relevant points also we'll discuss so that we can close in the tomorrow session this enterprise structure, etc. And once we're done with that, there are a few other points which we have to discuss. After discussing, again we'll proceed with the system. So this is how we can just manage. Like, any questions on today's session, please?